And now I'm talking to Kevin Jenkinson from Concern. Kev, how's it going?
Hello, hi Darren.
Kev, you were on Near FM now. You have a bit of a connection with Near FM, don't you?
Yeah, well, I listened to it, throughout the years. I grew up in Castletimon Road in Kilmore West, Coolock, and very familiar with it. Yeah, I would have pretty much from that area, and I listened to Near FM when I was in college, and I went to Closhadoolig, did journalism in Closhadoolig, and yeah, very fond of the area, love the area.
Yeah, when we were in Closhadoolig doing journalism, we presented a programme for Near FM every week for one of the years, didn't we?
Yeah, programme every week about different topics, different issues. It was a good experience, a fantastic station, good people, volunteers, and I think the station still has that same ethos of, has a lot of volunteers taking part, and the contributors are very local as well.
Yeah, you're working with Concern worldwide now. Do you want to tell us a bit about how you ended up working with Concern? And are you there long or whatever?
I'm with Concern about a year and a half. I'm a media and communications officer with them, so I deal with the media basically, and I would help enact their kind of strategy for communications, and write up press releases, just generally kind of communicate the message of what Concern does, where we're responding, and just help the media when they have any queries, etc. It's a very busy role, and before that I was in journalism for over 12 years, longer, maybe 14 years. Most of them years are with the Irish Daily Star. So I went from that into this, and it's very enjoyable. It's a good company, charity to work for.
Alright, Kev, we're here in St. Stephen's Green. Could you tell us why we're here and what Concern are doing here?
Okay, so here at Stephen's Green Park, Concern has a exhibition called Build Hope in the City. It's an exhibition that shows the reality of urban life in many of the cities, well, some of the cities around the world Concern works. Cities like Dhaka in Bangladesh, which has a population of about 8.9 million compared to Dublin's 500,000. The population is massive, and countrywide you're talking about like Bangladesh as one example, country which has a population of 156 million people. 48 million of them are on the poverty line, which means that they live on less than €2 a day on average. So this exhibition is a collection of 12 photo pods. They're all lined up along St. Stephen's Green as you walk in through the main gate on the left. It's here until Monday, October 2nd, and it's already been in Trafalgar Square, London, it's been in Belfast, Derry, it's been in Enniskillen, and here it is in Dublin. And it's highlighting the poverty. It's kind of telling the story of the people, the real people. Photographs were taken by a renowned Welsh photographer, Abbie Trayler-Smith. She works for Panos Pictures, and she's an award-winning photographer. She took the images, and they're very sharp, and each one tells its own story. And for example, there's a girl in Dhaka, Bangladesh, called Parvin. Hers is probably one of the most moving. She's 18, and as the photographs were being taken, she had literally she's sleeping on a jetty or on the docks in Dhaka, one of tens of thousands who do that. So that's her life. That's where she lives, on the streets. And she had just lost her child, and she told the photographer how, I can't find my child, and it turns out it was taken by a woman who befriended her, and it's suspected that it was possible incident of human trafficking. Human trafficking is a big problem in Bangladesh, and it's just a tiny example of the absolute despair that people go through in cities like Dhaka, where they have nothing, and they live day by day, trying to get enough food just to eat that day, and the struggles are huge. And there's other people like Amina also in Dhaka who has a husband and a child, and they're very young, they're in their early 20s, and they have jobs, but they only earn she's a cook, and he works selling food, and they only earn together they probably earn about €80 a month, so that's extremely low, obviously. So they have jobs, but they cannot afford to live anywhere, so they're also on the streets. So it's amazing that you've got the mammy and the daddy working, but they cannot live anywhere. They've no house, so they live by a path outside a hospital in Dhaka. So there's another example of the extreme levels of poverty in Bangladesh. There's also photographs taken from Nairobi in Kenya, where there's also massive levels of poverty, and also images taken from Port-au-Prince in Haiti, where there's also that is actually Haiti, a country that has been ravaged in recent times by floods and by hurricanes and everything, and it's had outbreaks of cholera. That country is actually the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. So you can see, so you can read, you can look at some of the people's faces from that live in poverty in those cities, and you can read a little bit about their story and about how Concern helps them. That girl Amina in Dhaka, for example, she where does she leave her kid when she goes to her child when she goes to work every day? Concern has a pavement dweller centre, and what happens is parents leave their children at this centre. It's basically also pretty much like childcare, where Concern's staff give the children somewhere to eat. They get a decent meal, they can sleep, and they get some comfort. They can play, and then the parents come home very late at night. Usually, a lot of these people who are living on such low wages work extremely long hours. So that's one example of the help that Concern provides in these cities. So the exhibition is here to kind of it's called Build Hope in the City, and I suppose it's to build awareness, and it's to show what work is being done to help these people, but to let people know that there is a lot of poverty out there and that they still need help.
Yeah, I had a look at the exhibition before I met you here this morning, and it's very good, and it's a great idea, I think, what you are doing, and it's great that it's been in a few places in Derry, London, I'm not sure what other places. It's great, and one, you mentioned there a couple of the people who are in the photos. There's one man in the photo, and he has a family, and like he works, his job is to look for, he's a scavenger basically at dumps. It's unbelievable how people, like, there are a lot of people like that, slums, working in, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, they go to great lengths to provide for their families, for themselves. That's the man you're talking about, Eric Karanja. Yeah, he goes into the dump sites in Nairobi in Kenya. He's an example of the people that Concern comes across in all the cities that they work in around the world. Concern works in 26 countries. At the moment around the world, helping over 22 million people, and his story can be multiplied in all those cities. So he's obviously desperate to earn a living, to provide for himself and his family. So he'd scavenge for food and items that he can sell to get enough money to buy himself. I think one of the quotes from him is how his family is so important to him, and he wants his kids to have a better life than he has, so and he wants to provide them with an education, so he goes to that length to try and help his family. Yeah, they're very moving stories. There are people who go to all sorts of and they put themselves at risk in great danger as well. One of the stories from Dhaka is a young girl who talks about how living on the streets, one of the challenges is obviously the theft, and then you have as a young girl, strange men coming over to her, approaching her, and that creates huge anxiety issues for her. So there's a lot of psychological issues as well as the actual need to survive, to have food.
Yeah, what I was struck by, a big thing I was struck by looking at the photos and reading the information is the importance of education for children and second level students, and for adults or people over 16 if they're not in education, training. And Concern do a lot of this work, are involved with it. It's amazing the difference it makes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Concern is massively involved in education. Even in countries like Lebanon, helping Syrian refugee children. I witnessed that myself. Where they would assist. Like, countries obviously provide their own education systems, but they will help in situations where. They will help in situations, where children need education. But yeah, education is really important, obviously, in every situation. And education is how you kind of, help the next generation get out of poverty.
And training as well, like, you know what I mean? Like, for like a lot of photos talk about how Concern were involved with training people in certain skills, or to grow plants, grow food. That kind of stuff.
There's a woman in one of the stories. There's a woman from Port-au-Prince, Denise, and they train her to be Concern has trained her to be a hairdresser. So she was living in extreme poverty, and she was finding no way out. And she really wanted to develop her skill, to become a hairdresser. So they have a training program where they helped her and they help others get the skills they need to get a job. There was a woman also in Nairobi who Concern helped to her second child became malnourished, and that inspired her to get involved in health and to become like a nutritional a nurse. So Concern helped her become a nurse, and so she can help others. And that's just one. There's some examples, but yeah, like training is key, education is key, and you see it time and time again in each country that Concern and other aid agencies work in, is that they one of the key things is helping them get the education that they need, that gets them out of that poverty trap. And it's everywhere. It's I suppose it's even in our own country, it's in our own city. It's related. It's something that relates to poverty worldwide. That time and time again, it's lack of education, lack of opportunity that forces people into poverty. And you have to also give people hope, give them the belief that they can get out of poverty, and that they can do better for themselves, for their families, and then in turn for society.
Yeah, you've already mentioned, Kev, when the photo exhibition is finishing up. I think you're here for over the last week and a half, and you're here for another week and a half. Just remind us as to when photo exhibition is finishing up here in Stephen's Green, and if there's anything else you want to say.
Yeah, so the photo exhibition is here until Monday, October 2nd, and it'll finish up then. And it's very kind of where it is. It's tree lined, so we think it's along a footpath that's quite popular in the park, and we think it gives people a unique opportunity to kind of take a nice stroll in Stephen's Green while having a quick glance at these images, and to learn a bit about what Concern does, and about life outside of life in parts of the world where there's absolute horrific level of poverty. Half the world's population now lives in urban cities, and cities are just getting more populations are increasing significantly, and the huge worry is how are we going to provide enough food and jobs and livelihoods for these people. So it just highlights those issues, and we hope that it inspires people to help us to help them, and just to get people engaged, to get people to get active and engaged in these issues which are related worldwide and not just in these countries. It's a worldwide issue, and in Concern
poverty.
Poverty is a worldwide issue, and it affects people here in Ireland, it affects people overseas as well significantly, and this is about highlighting that, and we hope that it brings some hope to people in countries like Bangladesh, where there's also currently massive problems with flooding. There's 8 million people affected by floods in that country. That's on top of the 48 million who live in poverty, the 25 million in extreme poverty, and then now, of course, currently right this very moment, we have the thousands of people by day arriving into Bangladesh because of the Rohingya crisis. Over 300,000 now at the moment. So each country has these massive issues, and this exhibition is about highlighting that. And it's a really we think it's a very moving exhibition, and something that people can look at, and it'll create discussion and debate amongst people, and that's what we want people to look at it and enjoy it and talk about it and be aware of it, and help these people.